My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state.
This is the entity stalking by commercial planes. And they begin amplifying planes. I just want to be clear, it is indeed amplification, it's demonic, and it's also pursuant to stalking. And they're stalking as an airport with the people of the state who are maintaining close presence in the path. This is understanding stalking because this raises a fake sun that stays over my head as I stay on this street, even as I'm documenting coming back to this location at 11 and 12 o'clock in the afternoon. That's the Ontario Airport Board. Just like Mike Lorenz is going to be subject to a federal prosecution. Derek Williams, gang stalking me before him, sharing in the criminal conspiracy to commit murder. The Ontario International Board is going to be subject to a prosecution for a conspiracy to murder upon what is maintaining ongoing criminal surveillance, stalking, terrorism, harassment, while they are engaging in the city of Ontario. This is seconds later. This has nothing to do with flights that are taken off from an airport. And the entity's already under surveillance, so them stalking with planes is a matter of evidence already, in addition to what it is, my documentation where they're following me. What they're doing at the airport is not a mystery either. They're going to be prosecuted for conspiring murder. That's the significance of stalking with planes and stalking as a police department. The entity is going to be subject to what is a criminal prosecution. They're going to be prosecuted. It's currently 7:04 a.m. and it's 1 minute and 28 seconds. So you're talking about what is this flight taking off from the airport. Those aren't flights taking off in that second by second takeoff. That's speaking to stalking. Coming from right here and just engaging what is U-turns. Alan D. Wapner and the Ontario executive team, the Ontario board, they're going to be prosecuted as terrorists. Criminal charges is what's coming for them. And the people of the state, we've already seen their engagement in the P.O.C. The entity is going to be criminally prosecuted. Gang stalking is that which is committed in furtherance of murder. The government tried to, in concert with the people of the state, commit a murder, and I documented the evidence of it, and I'm going to prosecute. This is P.O.C. It's currently 7:05 a.m. Alrighty. Attention to stalking as I move away from the bus stop, north up the street, so does the plane activity. Stalking and flying in the opposite direction is pacing. This is psychopathic, and this is committed in furtherance of murder. The Ontario Board and Ontario Executive Team, the so-called Ontario President of the Ontario Board, the President of the Ontario Board, Alan D. Wapner, they're going to be criminally prosecuted. Stalking, as I move away from that bus stop, the planes are flying, coming closer. That's stalking. And the city of Ontario is stalking right here. License 1664663, a Caucasian male, accessing the vehicle, light activity, and presence in the path as monitoring me in the path right here. This is the venue where they're at. This is P.O.C. And they're monitoring with the demons who are the people of the state. 7 HIS 780, a sex offender engaging in sexual assault and battery as an entity, touching with light while the demons are stalking with planes. Engaging what is flying in alignment to where I'm at on Euclid, making U-turns. Now, while I'm at that bus stop, they're doing it down toward East Street. While I come up north past F Street, they're coming up flying over the church, stalking. And this is context. This is where the fake sun rises and sets over me. And on this street, not going beyond what is the OVITT Family Community Library, remaining outside of the doors with a fake sun. This is the entity that's monitoring. And City of Ontario is inside of this venue, gang stalking using City of Ontario vehicles. This is the removal of Pollyon. They're gang stalking in concert with the people of the state. It is current, and they're engaging in a sex offense in doing so. This is not a sunrise. This is the entity that is stalking with planes. Go where I'm going. There's no takeoff over here. This is stalking. I want to be clear. This is what the fake police department does. Derek Williams and what is Mike Lorenz, they're going to be federally prosecuted. And so is the Ontario International Airport that is stalking. They're engaging in what is maintaining flight, and it doesn't get any more obvious than this. This isn't even any arrival or takeoff. This is maintaining flight across the street, crossing path and making U-turns going back in the opposite direction, stalking in the path where the engineer light is present, where the fake sun is here. This is Bethel Congregation 536. The fake sun's over my head at this same congregation while I am there at 11 o'clock in the morning. Okay, this is P.O.C. You're understanding what the people of the state are doing. They're stalking. 8 UCPT54. They're crossing path. They're stalking with the entity that's maintaining aerial surveillance. And City of Ontario, demons of the city are inside of this building maintaining surveillance via communication devices. And this is very foolish exposure, but this is what the entity does every day. Very foolish stalking by the Ontario Police Department. And Mike Lorenz, Derek Williams, you are not resigning out of any criminal prosecution. I have him on the record gang stalking me as a corrupt agency, a terrorist leader, not a police chief, and I will be prosecuting him. I will be prosecuting Mike Lorenz. There's no statute of limitations. Okay, it is currently 7:16 a.m. This is psychopathic. While they listen to you, that's what I mean. That's the mental illness that's going to be addressed. Very foolish criminal conduct, very foolish. It is literally analogous to suicidal conduct. It's prosecutorial suicide. This is P.O.C. under the fake sun at 7:17 a.m. P.O.C.
So that you are witnessing what is the evidence of mental illness, because not only are the domestic terrorists going to be federally prosecuted for criminal surveillance and furtherance of murder, the conspiracy to commit murder, by engaging what is stalking as an airport, stalking as airlines, while they psychologically torture, sexually violate, harass, and terrorize. This is evidence of mental illness. The gang stalkers themselves shall be subject to mental examinations. As I proceed south down Euclid Avenue, they're no longer flying north, flying over what is the Starbucks, flying over the Empire Publishing, flying over F Street. They are stalking where the fake sun is in alignment to me. The fake sun has also moved. It's no longer in alignment with Bethel congregation at 536. The fake sun moves. The fake sun stays here. I've shown at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. I've shown at what is 6 o'clock in the evening. This fake sun is setting where that airport is stalking and maintaining what is presence in the path, and clearly engaging what is just making a U-turn, getting in alignment with where I'm present, where my person is present, not on the opposite side of the street like where I'm at the bus stop. Okay, so you're looking at the city of Ontario in the images, creating what is light pursuant to what is monitoring. This is not only criminal surveillance evidence by, looks like, West Coast arborists. They're engaged in surveillance, not tree trimming. And not only that, they're demons. And this is what this Ontario was doing, is I captured them engaging in surveillance, taking over 11 minutes to empty the garbage, where Balbir is subject to what is an ongoing criminal prosecution for engaging in surveillance in concert with the people of the state who are serving to have immigrants like her deported out of the country. It is currently 7:43 a.m. This ongoing psychopathic pacing with planes is evidence of mental illness. In the same way, when you see the mental illness exhibited by demons that want to be mistaken for police departments, and they're pacing in helicopters and they're stalking already, your mental illness, your mental health, while you're stalking as a population, your mental health is going to be put at the forefront of your prosecution, okay? This is P.O.C. This is a serial stalker engaging in what is ongoing targeting with the state and furtherance of murder. I've documented her before. I'm documenting her now. She's engaged in serial stalking with the state and furtherance of committing murder with that state. This is P.O.C. It's currently 7:43 a.m. Evidence of stalking by that airport. Maintaining presence in my path as my person moves on whatever side of the street my person moves, wherever the fake sun moves as I move. This is P.O.C.
Alrighty, the entity is engaged in gang stalking systematically. First of all, that's impossible light that comes toward me while you are a demon stalking on the roads and the highways. Second of all, you pull up for work, systematically gang stalking at a facilitated venue where the fake sun moves to be over me. And as they get off of work, the fake sun is still here as I exit the OVITT Family Community Library. These demons pull up, monitoring with the Ontario International Airport in furtherance of murder. License plate 8479U43, gang stalking in furtherance of murder. Wells Fargo employees gang stalking, and you already know that. At 11 o'clock in the morning, I already walked over here. The fake sun remains over. I come from Upland, Montclair. I come from off of Route 83. The fake sun is over. 9 PRV 330 is gang stalking. Every employee is. And I want to be clear, this is how the entity engages in surveillance. EH41TO3 paper plate, and they're demons. Dragging engineer light under the fake sun, reporting to work at the facilitating venue is committed in furtherance of murder. And I've documented this demon on a systematic basis, targeting me with the state, including with the Ontario Police Department. This is mental illness. Okay? She gets out in her slippers, gang stalking with the Ontario Police who fly around me while I document this homosexual predator, 8VXF 855, and that's a prosecution of Wells Fargo. And she's moving her vehicle, moving engineer light. That's mental illness. She pulls up while the entity is stalking as an airport. That's P.O.C. 9DFX 437. And they're engaged in what is violating your privacy as a gang stalking bank, just like Chase Bank. Look at my evidence. Chase is gang stalking LAPD, exhibiting mental illness, flying in circles over my bank while I go from Alvarado Gardens. And at 1600 Vermont, the fake sun is over me at Chase Bank in Los Angeles. And the LAPD engaging in what is a very heavily documented pattern of the mentally ill Ontario police. Mike Lorenz and Derek Williams are going to be federally prosecuted, not distinct from Dominic Choi. Okay, and Michael Moore. You're not retiring out of a federal prosecution for terrorism. This is how businesses are engaging in it. They need the demon-possessed who work at the facilitating venues, just like Brightview. Hiring immigrants is going to be the ability for I.I.S, for the federal government to deport, and to also remove businesses that facilitate terrorism, where they are engaged in what is the P.O.C. This is criminal presence in the path under a fake sun that's still here as I exit that library after 6 p.m. P.O.C. It's 8:32 a.m.
All right, Ontario police stalking. Well, I'm going to put this video that's going to put employees of Wells Fargo in prison. The entity is monitoring regarding LAPD gang stalking at Chase Bank and Wells Fargo, just like in Los Angeles. They fly over, again, the pattern of conduct where they are indeed engaged in surveillance, and they're putting people of the state in federal prison for engaging in terrorism and monitoring with them. You incriminate them, and the result is federal prison. And Mike Lorenz and Derek Williams are going to be federally prosecuted for the conspiracy to commit murder, to murder myself while they've been gang stalking, targeting as an agency. That's the significance of stalking as a whole police department under what is a fake sun, and doing so pursuant to that evidence, that very damning evidence, being systematically uploaded on the internet. And that's going directly toward the gang stalkers inside of 240 North Euclid Avenue. Stalking with the demon-possessed patrons. On cameras at their ATMs, on cameras inside of the venue, they're all surrounded with evidence right now, gang stalking with Ontario police, who are not helping what are the co-defendants, okay? Carlos systematically monitoring, that's federal prison. The demon-possessed gang stalker engaging in surveillance inside of the library as well back here, that's the entity based on the pattern. Based on how you prosecute, that's federal prison. The gang stalking homeless demons, in other words, federal prison, while they systematically maintain surveillance at the venues where I'm documenting the pattern of conduct as I'm subject to. And it includes Wells Fargo. That's the particular venue that I'm documenting, and including LAPD sharing in that pattern of conduct. Mike Lorenz and Derek Williams shall be federally prosecuted for terrorism, and so will every kidnapper of the Ontario police. The entity that engages in criminal summoning, because they're the ones that summon the gang stalkers of the corrupt police departments, that's why they're going to prison as well. This is a federal RICO case against Wells Fargo, and the significance of what I'm uploading is letting you know about the public information that is your banking information, where the entity is engaged in surveillance and monitoring on communication devices, and you use communication devices to access your money, your funds, everything that you're talking about is public information. And Wells Fargo and Chase Bank, JP Morgan, they're engaged in what is criminal surveillance and violating federal laws simultaneously while they're banking, and gang stalking is simultaneously underway. I'm subject to that as a patron of Chase Bank, and Wells Fargo is in the path gang stalking me in LA. That's what I'm uploading while the Ontario police flies over, stalking in the path. This is mental illness. This is what they're doing day and night. This is what they're doing as I'm at the OVITT Family Community Library, documenting gang stalkers, speaking to the deportation policy, engaging in what is flying over my head, engaging in that open aggression. They're going to prison, and Mike Lorenz is being federally prosecuted, and so is Derek Williams. You're not retiring out of a federal prosecution, conspiring an American citizen's murder. This is the same thing that they're doing when they're stalking me at the Chevron gas station. They're stalking by helicopter, flying over me and openly engaging in it. And you don't forget that when I'm documenting demons that shall be subject to federal prison for threatening me with a gang stalker using a helicopter, because I'm referring to evidence that's relevant and analogous to what they're doing now. You're going to federal prison together with them. It is currently 9:22 a.m. at 224 North Euclid Avenue. This is P.O.C.
Elevator going up.
Oh, hey, what you guys doing here? How's it going?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good.
Coming in?
No, I'm fine. Have a good day. That's audible activity. And just so that you can see, this is indeed Sal in the same exact engineer light. This is a lesson. It does not matter what the face of the demon is. Satan uses at-home mothers. Satan uses MDs. Satan uses judges and attorneys. Satan uses police officers. And they are also none of that when I'm showing you the pattern of conduct, because those titles have actual significance. And you are not a police officer. You're not a doctor when you're engaged in targeting. You are actually a sex offender, and that's a demon stalking in the path as I walk out. And let's take a look at what they're monitoring. They're monitoring genitalia in a private space. The entity's maintaining amplified noise, and they're monitoring genitalia and the use of a toilet, and they do so via Simba Center. People that I have met with, and the entity is engaging in what is the same exact sexual violence. In doing so, that's relevant to psychological torture when the entity is monitoring you through people that you have to deal with, through people that you are colleagues with, through people that you have to maintain your composure with, and not engage in what is, for example, lashing out and making unsubstantiated accusations. These are all tactics of psychological torture. Simba Center are not Christ-serving employees of that company. They're vagina monitoring demon-possessed gang stalkers. Very malicious, and they're under the same exact fake sun, monitoring my vagina and stalking in the path as I walk out. That's what this is. When they're maintaining presence, I show you the mentally ill every time I walk out. Somebody's staring at a book, somebody's in the path. They're doing so while they're gang stalking in engineer light. Okay, that is Sal. He's also gang stalking my vagina inside of my hotel room at Economy Inn, where the entity kept the fake sun. There's no sun over the Family Community Library. If it's over in a natural environment, Economy Inn, it's distinct. It's the same thing with regard to OPD and LAPD gang stalking me at the Wells Fargo off of Vermont and Chase Bank in Los Angeles at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The entity is rising and setting the sun at over Family Community Library. Okay, that's malicious and it's sexual violence by Simba Center. If you want to put yourself in the path of the evidence and the ongoing investigation, so be it. What you need to recognize is that there is no identity that is accepted from the P.O.C. And you are going to that far extent in what is engineer light. It's engineer light. Show it to you. Okay. You are going to the extent to put someone who's supposed to be a friendly face in my path, threatening my life, monitoring my genitalia. That's what Satan is engaging in. This is OVITT Family Community Library, sex offender. This is P.O.C. And it is 10:18 a.m. Alrighty, it is currently 5:39 p.m. It's Thursday, October 23rd, 2025. And this is called light activity. This is Mickey. She's a demon. She has double shadows. She's monitoring, and so are the employees that go into this door back here, stalking with noise, which they are strategically engaging in what is engineered light. It's a strategic insofar as the elements of monitoring are seamlessly and conveniently underway when you're engaging in what is gang stalking, which is committed in furtherance of murder, which is what Mickey is engaging in while she is stalking maliciously as a employee at a facilitating venue. That's relevant to what is malice. This is demonic pacing. This is the impossible. Engineered light is, because it's not sunlight that would stretch in through the depths of a building under any circumstances, and especially not outside of the entrance of what is this building that has an extensive entry right here. This is the OVITT Family Community Library, and this entry right here, just want to show you, is an extensive entrance, just so you can look at it. And that entrance reaches into the depths of underneath the structure. This is all manner of impossible light activity while you're looking at it right now. At the same time, that door closure occurs at the same time Mickey is a demon. Okay. Also engaging in what is, by the way, I want to be clear, the maintenance of this light source right now. This is captured at the Ontario Town Square, where I walk to the entrance of the library, which I'm inside of right now at 5:41 p.m. And you're looking at what is under no circumstances going to be the presence of the sun, nor the presence of this light activity inside of the building, even if that was the sun in a natural environment, which would require that it wasn't outside of the same entrance at 10 o'clock in the morning, like I documented on October 11th, 2025 at 11:01 a.m. I'm documenting the fake sun on a daily basis. I did document that today as well. But I just want to show you what is recognizing gang stalking. And this is where the entity is stalking by planes and helicopters and doing so on behalf of the people. So in other words, these are the government actors that don't have access to helicopters and planes. They engage in one of the elements of monitoring by being present in the absurdly demonic and obvious crime scene where criminal surveillance is underway. Okay, so the entity is engaging in what is the pattern of conduct while you are walking in it. This is light activity and crossing paths, stalking me while I'm sitting at the desk, doing so while you're having conversations and doing so while you're walking in and out, and everything that they do is pursuant to monitoring me, including my genitalia, inside of what is a facilitating venue. This is where the entity committed kidnapping at 10:26 in the morning, 10:29 in the morning, and the fake sun is over the entrance. So what you're looking at the bottom is me walking from the Ontario Town Square, where when you're looking at, let's go ahead and pause this really quick. This is captured at 11 o'clock in the morning. Coming from the Ontario Town Square, this is supposed to be entertaining some sort of illusion that the sun is at some sort of distance where it's aimed into the entrance of this venue, where actually the entity is maintaining an environment that is entirely implausible. And the demon-possessed are clearly not interested in maintaining anything realistic while they're engaging in that pattern of conduct. And it's also not a coincidence that one of the kidnappers monitoring what the Ontario Police is crossing path. That's what that is. That's impossible light. They're monitoring, and they're also monitoring genitalia while they are crossing path and doing so in a specific environment. That's somebody that's creating light activity at a tremendous distance away. Light is not going to reach inside of the depths of a building and also underneath the desk. This is absolutely demonic. The use of communication devices, presence in that environment. This is where the entity is maintaining what is noise. Outside that noise includes helicopter activity. It includes plane activity. It includes the maintenance of a fake sun all day long. The entity fills the venue with impossible light. Okay? The illusion here is that the sun is going to be at some sort of distance, like you see here, when you're looking at it outside of the same doors of this entrance at 11 o'clock in the morning. It's 5:43 p.m. This is the pattern of conduct where the demon-possessed are gang stalking. Okay, those participating in kidnapping are going to federal prison. This is called malice. And they are the same ones that act with that same level of malice while the Ontario police engage in ongoing terrorism, stalking, and helicopter. Okay? They engage in that conduct. Her shadow's appearing on the inside while she's outside. That's impossible light activity. But this is the fake sun that's outside of the same entrance. It's systematic monitoring inside. This is the evidence of where the entity committed kidnapping on June 16, 2022. Every time that the entity is engaged in criminal summoning, covering up the fake sun, engaging in what are acts of malice relevant to what is psychological torture, sexual violence, and what is under no circumstances having any sun, for example, in Florida, when I'm documenting it, remaining at 215 E.C. Street, where systematic monitoring, that is surveillance on communication devices, where you are looking at what is the sun that is over me at the entrance is still present at 11 o'clock in the morning, and it's still present at what is 5:44 in the evening. This is where the entity is engaged in what is monitoring everything that I'm doing on the internet. That's John. John's systematically engaged in monitoring, and he's monitoring while he walks in and out with that impossible light activity. That's the same tactic that the entity employs while you're looking at the entity that is gang stalking me by planes and helicopters at the Ontario Town Square. So I just want to rewind this because this is shattering the illusions that I've shown you the demon-possessed maintain. The fake sun is right now, never mind all these other videos, but in the morning, the fake sun is at this Ontario Town Square. This is the Ontario Town Square over here. So the fake sun is moved to be in alignment with where my person is positioned. All right. This is 5:45 in the evening. I'm capturing the illusion of the fake sun that's already over the Wells Fargo in the morning along this C Street as I walk to this venue. And the entity moves the fake sun to be in alignment with the same Ontario Town Square where it is like in the morning, where I am at that venue in the morning time, for example. And then as I exit at 6 o'clock, which it's around 6 o'clock, it's 5:45, the entity keeps the fake sun at the same venue where I'm documenting the Ontario Police, the Ontario International Airport stalking, the Ontario Fire Department, the Ontario Police Department using vehicles, pacing in what is engineer light. The entity is engaging in what is this maintenance of an environment which is conducive to surveillance, and surveillance is underway with regard to an entity that has conspired to murder an American citizen. This is the prosecution of Mike LORENZ, who has conspired the murder of an American citizen that he, as a terrorist leader, masquerading as a police chief, is going to be federally prosecuted for. Maintaining a fake sun that is never going to create the light activity you see inside of the depths of this library. Never going to create this light activity ever under any circumstances. It's not the sun, it's engineered light with regard to what is both demonic, that you need to know about Mike LORENZ and everybody associated with the Ontario Police Department, but it's also relevant to the entity that's acting in concert with the people of the state who are in that environment to maintain criminal surveillance, like every employee and every third party, okay? That's the significance of being in this environment, excuse me. This is all crossing path, and they're all maliciously present under what is an absurdly, scientifically impossible environment. 7KTM693. This is the entity that keeps the fake sun, as I've documented, well after 6 p.m., and none of this is sunlight. None of it. This is the prosecution of the government that's gang stalking me while this fake sun is over this entrance, as you see here. Coming from the Ontario Town Square, walking to the same entrance in the morning where it is greeting me as I walk in. And the entity is engaged in what is massive surveillance, sexual violence, and furtherance of murder. And they committed kidnapping at this venue, and they're going to federal prison for it. This is P.O.C. All right, the entity is maintaining this light source, and they do so in concert with the people of the state. And this is relevant to that light activity that you're seeing that's appearing on the inside in alignment to my person doing so while inside of the depths, and people like Mickey engaging in what is systematic monitoring. She's a psychopath, stalking with noise while the entity maintains engineered light, and sharing in what is kidnapping with demons that are crossing path, even in this video, while they are listening to me refer to their documented criminal activity. The entity is engaging in this sexual offense with regard to the monitoring of genitalia and other sex crimes that are committed upon gang stalking as a population, as a corrupt government, and they're doing so while you're looking at the evidence. This is putting Mickey in federal prison right here. This is evidence of conspiracy to commit murder, not just being a demon and a psychopath stalking with light. It is evidence of conspiracy to commit murder while you are maintaining criminal presence with the government. License 9SDA, stalking with communication device in hand, 9SDA 457, license plate 9LYU164. Now, what you're paying attention to is, for example, when I walk outside and you see the engineered light that is appearing through the over the Wells Fargo building. This is an illusion that I've captured before, and I just want to remind you about what is already documented over Wells Fargo. It's an illusion. I documented the fake sun over a Wells Fargo this morning, and I'm walking out 5:45 p.m. and it's over the same Wells Fargo as though it's aiming sunlight into the OVITT Family Community Library. That's not. This is an illusion. This is the fake sun captured over the Wells Fargo at 240 North Euclid Avenue at 4:48 p.m. And I'm standing on the same day at 11:12 a.m. where the entity's keeping the fake sun over me, okay? This is the entity that's engaging what is stalking with a fake sun, where criminal surveillance is underway. Criminal surveillance by an entity that is regularly engaged in what is stalking as a police department. Let me remind you about those that are engaged in what is criminal surveillance with the OVITT Family Community Library. These are the terrorist leaders that are going to be prosecuted for what is targeting me in concert with venues like the OVITT Family Community Library, having already committed what is kidnapping as an entity with the intent to obstruct justice, while they keep also my own evidence proving that the government is targeting me under surveillance, and I've been subject to kidnapping by that government, targeting in concert with the very employees at that venue, kidnapping gang stalkers that call themselves police officers. They're going to federal prison. And this is going to be the federal prosecution of the domestic terrorist leader, Mike LORENZ, targeting and requiring a population to be under circumstances such as a fake sun from 11 to 4 o'clock in the evening. That's no environment where the natural sunlight and the light source that's simultaneously in Florida at some point in the day. But the entity is maintaining what is a light source that's remaining at the entrance of the OVITT Family Community Library. This is understanding the cooperative criminal system that the Ontario Police Department maintains with a state actor, that is the OVITT Family Community Library. It is currently 5:50 p.m. And what it is that I'm documenting inside of this venue is the maintenance of an ongoing pattern of conduct. And this is speaking to what is ongoing surveillance in the bathroom as well. So you need to understand that Mickey is a violent sex offender, engaging in what is stalking with a population that knows everything that I'm saying, knows everything that I'm doing, and follows me as I arrive to the venue of the OVITT Family Community Library and as I leave, which I'm also routinely documenting. Stalking me by planes and helicopters day and night. It is also underway in here while they're pacing around like psychopaths. Their mental illness is put on full display while they're surrounded in what is an absurd environment. This is the mentally ill, demon-possessed, okay? That's the significance of my shadow appearing in this manner. That is no sunlight, and the sun is not going to be over the entrance at 10, 11 in the morning and still in alignment to you while you're inside of it. This is an entity that is demon-possessed. They regularly target American citizens, and this is terrorism and targeting terrorists like the Ontario International Airport, like the Ontario Police Department, the Ontario Fire Department, and the OVITT Family Community Library. Venues and the population that shares in surveillance and furtherance of murder. That's why they're going to prison. This is P.O.C. It is currently 5:52 p.m. Just want to show you how I walk outside and you see that fake sun dwindle down very rapidly. And as I go back to my seat, this isn't the natural environment, it's demonic. The entity is engaging what is stalking with the fake sun, and everybody in that environment is stalking. Okay? This is the pattern of conduct. This is the entity of demons. 5:52 p.m. The entity that provides this wealth of evidence, they do the same thing when stalking with helicopters, they do the same thing when stalking with planes, and it's going to be presented in court to prosecute them and to inform legislation where you are targeting terrorists, including those that are of immigrant status. They will be deported out of the country. In the same way that the entity foolishly provides evidence against itself and against everyone that's going to prison, that committed kidnapping, that's engaging in sexual violence, that's in this country while engaging in terrorism. That's what's relevant with regard to a fake son speaking to what is targeting a specific person. This is P.O.C. All right, the entity that is gang stalking is subject to what is criminal liability for harassment. And remember, harassment serves the purpose of psychologically torturing, which precedes murder that is committed as that same entity that is obsessively stalking day and night. The entity that is surrounded with the direct evidence of gang stalking further into murder, i.e. the fake son that's aimed in alignment to my position at computer station number 1 after 5 o'clock in the evening when it's over my head targeting me as I walk into the same entrance. This is an entity that's engaged in what is harassment, beating on the desks, which is, again, a passive-aggressive psychopathic means and what is essentially hitting me. It's causing ongoing vibration, jerking of the desk, which is touching my person. It's an ongoing battery that a population of demons coming in gang stalking are committing all day long, sitting around me at the computers. This is shared by the employees who are psychopaths, stalking with noise, all of them pacing around in engineer light, having multiple shadows, using noise as a means of harassment while they're stalking you in the bathrooms as well, the sex offenders that are engaging in this. This is all of that which has coincided with regard to torment before murder or regarding what is ongoing incessant stalking. OVITT Family Community Library is a chamber of ongoing torturing and sexual violence, and mental illness is being exposed while they share in that. And this is what you could see very vividly while that fake son is aimed in alignment to me, in the same position where it is, by the way, when you're looking at it, that's the same position it is over the Wells Fargo at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning. It's over that same building while the entity is engaging in this. This is revealing what is, again, the people of the state that are demon possessed. This is revealing what they actually are. They're animals. And they're serial killers, and they do so with children, contributing to the delinquency of children. You have demons that are in here under the age of majority engaging in what are battering me. Doing so as an entity, you're going to prosecute for that. And it's also relevant to the ways in which the people of the state are going to be prosecuted engaging in what is terrorism with minor children. And they do so on surveillance cameras. They do so as a means of the pattern of conduct. They do even more of it as I refer to the fact that these violent sex offenders who are conspiring murder together do so with children, clutching them in their hands, sharing and using them as activity creators. Okay, it is currently 7:23 p.m. This is the entity that's engaged in gang stalking, and I'm subject to an ongoing violation of my person, not only violating my privacy, keeping my genitalia under surveillance in the bathrooms, but also engaged in what is an ongoing battery while beating the furniture. And they do so on behalf of Michael LORENZ, the Ontario police that's gang stalking. They do so on behalf of the Ontario board. The entity gang stalked me by planes and helicopters. They're maintaining the same elements of monitoring with the same criminal objective to torture before murdering and incessantly sexually violating. Okay, this is P.O.C. That's relevant to the ways in which the entity is going to be prosecuted, and it's also relevant to the mental illness. They will be, like I stated, committed and convicted. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, additional relevant context is that the entities engaged in what is demonic behavior, so things, ordinary actions such as walking, speaking, riding, for example, a bike. This creates what is amplified audible activity, sensational activity, meaning creating impact, which is a means of facilitation, and it's also the basis of a demon-possessed person that is harassing the targeted individual. So while they're sitting, for example, at the surrounding computers, sitting across or even sitting next to me, and these are not weak little Staples Build-A-Desks or from like paper thin IKEA, you know, not to down any brand or whatever, but they're all gang stalkers anyway. Those are gang stalking companies. But I'm stating these are sturdy desks, and these are demons that are engaging in what is sensational activity. This is the combination of what is malice as you're prosecuting for it, but you're understanding this is demonic activity, and these are demon-possessed people whose ordinary acts are creating what is abnormal impact. So they are stalking an impossible light. They are stalking stalking with audible noise that's amplified, and they are also stalking with sensational activity. And that's how you have what is the creation of ongoing incessant vibration, as though it's like a paper-thin desk. It's the same thing when they're gang stalking from what is an apartment building to what is inside of Shannon Dykes's gang stalking facility of West Valley Detention Center, when you are not listening to everyone throughout the whole jail speaking in all of the cells. You're not listening to everyone that is in use of the faucet inside of the cell. You're not able to hear them whispering to each other, regardless of the fact that you have a cooling or the air conditioner. Oh yeah, you can hear it. No, you cannot. The entity is engaged in what is amplified audible activity. It's entirely demonic. It's a means of maintaining the elements of monitoring while you are being incessantly molested, perpetually molested with that which is not even naturally occurring either, which is engineered light, under the guise of what's supposed to be the artificial light. But again, upon examination of the environment, it's entirely demonic. It's implausible, it's unrealistic, it's unpersuasive, and it's a scientific impossibility. This is the entity that is severely mentally ill. They are committing, however, a battery. They are engaged in what is psychological torture. They are committing the perpetual sex offense in doing so. The entity is engaged in what is terrorism as they practice that as a population. And I also want to document, so that's relevant to the entity engaging in what is stalking with sensational activity while you're sitting at the adjacent desks, while you're walking by, and it's causing the floor as I sit on the chair to vibe. That's a demon. They're demons. It doesn't matter if they're 650 pounds or if they're a 7-year-old child that doesn't weigh more than 52 pounds. The entity engages in the same conduct. They're demons, okay? And they're doing it in the environment where they are monitoring you. That's relevant to their mental illness. You're going to prosecute the demon-possessed people with that which is their behavior, which is posing a threat to other people, and it is a national security threat while a population engages in that. This is both the commitment and the conviction for criminal activity, which is mentally demented behavior. The entity's engaging in this with minor children, and so what I'm also documenting is that the mental illness is not limited to the age of majority. They share in the same pattern of conduct, engaging in that demonic synchronicity. And the city of Ontario is engaging in what is stalking with audible activity, the use of sirens. Those are the demons that are going to be removed from position. The city of Ontario, the gang stalking fire department, the gang stalking police department, the gang stalking EMTs, stalking and monitoring around in American medical response vehicles. The entities engaging in what is stalking in the path via those under the age of majority, which is OVITT Family Community Library, and every gang stalking employee's contribution to the delinquency of minors while they are gang stalking with them. Minor children are crossing path, gang stalking inside of the venue while the entity is maintaining audible noise. The use of sirens, which is the communication of a threat, while I document demons that are stalking at the computer stations, and they're all sitting around monitoring like passive-aggressive psychopaths who engage in such acts of retaliating. I would acknowledge that as some muted form of retaliation. Everything that demons are doing is based on what they're obsessing over me. Everything that I'm doing is relevant to prosecuting them. So everything that they're doing, they're not only monitoring, they're angry demons who have been exposed, and they're very hostile about it. They're psychopaths. But I will document the entity contributing to the delinquency of minors. You have kids in here gang stalking. All right, and they're doing so with the city of Ontario, and you need to know that the demon-possessed are very much children. They are born with curses on them. This is a reality of spiritual warfare, so I hate to break your heart, but that's the reality, and under the law, it's going to be prosecuted as the contribution to the delinquency of minors. All right, it's currently 7:34 p.m. This is P.O.C.